right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for Coffee with CEF. My name is Juan Munoz, and I'm the Engagement and Stewardship Manager at the Catholic Education Foundation. We have a very special and exciting episode for you all today, but before we get started, I'd like to start with a few housekeeping items. First, we will start today with all microphones muted to allow for the best sound quality. We do encourage you to interact with our guests in the form of any questions you may have by entering them in the chat feature, and we will attempt to address them later in the show. We also, let's see here, like usual, we also encourage you all to take a few seconds to glance at the top right corner of your screen, where you will see the option to select your view of the screen. So we do encourage everyone to select speaker view, so that way you can see whoever is speaking at that one specific moment in our program. With that said, we would like to let you know that if you encounter any technical issues, I have Sandra with me this morning, and she will serve as your tech support for today's session. So if you have any technical difficulties, please type them in the chat feature and she will send them over to me. If this is the first time you are joining us for Coffee with CEF, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. The Catholic Education Foundation provides tuition awards to thousands of students every year, thanks to the support of our donors. This morning, we would like to introduce you to Alma Backyard Farms and their two outstanding leaders who have been a fixture in their community for years. They are both known for being hands-on activists, for finding healing through the earth and crafting an environment rooted in sustainability. Alma, meaning soul in Spanish, is such an accurate term for the work that they do and have been doing here in Los Angeles. One of them, a CEF alumna, has directly attributed the success of her journey being paved by the Catholic education she received and by those who gave so much for her to attend. I'm so extremely happy to get this episode started. But before we dive in to learn all about Alma Backyard Farms, I would love to introduce you to our wonderful guests this morning. First up, we have Richard D. Garcia, the executive director and co-founder of Alma Backyard Farms. Richard's passion to grow food comes from a long line of Filipino farmers. A Los Angeles native, Richard lives to see that no life or land is wasted in the City of Angels. Richard studied at St. John's Seminary College and has extensive experience in pastoral ministry inside juvenile halls and prisons. As a pastoral minister, youth advocate, and urban farmer, Richard knows how growing food is a transformative way of bringing people together. Since completing an MA in pastoral theology at Loyola Marymount University, Richard incorporates principles of restorative justice into urban farming. Before launching Alma Backyard Farms, Richard initiated garden programs for schools and restaurants. Richard trains his urban farmers to create beautiful landscapes, install raised beds, and grow food. As a skilled craftsman, Richard builds innovative outdoor structures that encourage outdoor living. And next up, we have Erika L. Cuellar, operations director and co-founder of Alma Backyard Farms. An LA native and first-generation Mexican-American growing up in Watts, Erika witnessed how her community has been fraught with challenges in education and food insecurity. Undeterred by these challenges, Erika pursued a degree in education at Loyola Marymount University. Erika applied her studies to empower previously incarcerated women and men at Homegrow Cafe, a division of Homeboy Industries. Her years of social enterprise management ensures the integrity of Alma Backyard Farms' mission and its financial viability. Erika's talent for landscape design was further advanced through her landscape architecture studies at UCLA's Extension and through her work as project manager for a top-rated outdoor living company. Erika's passionate about teaching families and children how to grow and cook culturally relevant and flavorful foods. With that being said, I would love to ask, would you both fill us in on how the proverbial seed was planted for Alma Backyard Farms? Maybe the year, where you guys started, and is there sort of a particular story behind its inception?
And having worked with Father Greg Boyle, Father Mike Kennedy, along the Jesuits at Dolores Mission, and then Homeboy Industries, really helped to shape where we wanted to go. And so in 2013, we co-founded Alma as an opportunity to continue to work with folks in transition, but to also address some of the much needed gaps within LA that is food injustice. And so really supporting predominantly communities of color to increase access to food. And so we do this by urban farming. And so we've been at it since 2013. And we do this, we started in backyards, and we now do it with more perpetual institutions and long-term partners. And so we have a backyard farm in East LA. We have 3/4 of an acre in Compton on the property of St. Albert the Great Church and School. And we have a 1/4 acre in San Pedro across from Holy Trinity School and church. And so it is urban farming in the sense that we are doing it in the city, in the neighborhood, and we are growing to really nourish people. And I'll let Richard share more about the why.
So your question about the proverbial seed, I think I'm not necessarily always in an audience that is explicitly Catholic, and so I think I'm going to indulge myself and speak freely of my Catholic Christian background. I think the proverbial seed started with my upbringing, because essentially Alma Backyard Farms is a reflection of God's unconditional love, if you will, and I think, I grew up in Christ the King in Hollywood. I went to 1 year at Queen of Angels High School Seminary, and then I transferred to Loyola High School. So I'm a Loyola High grad, inspired by the work of people whose shoulders we stand on, and I think the seed of upholding dignity has just been nourished all along the way with the sort of education that both Erika and I have experienced. And I think my personal effort to nourish the seed and to acknowledge that there's a seed planted in my life was really when I was in high school, and Father Greg Boyle presided over a liturgy. It was the feast day of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and I think seeing in the flesh someone commit his life to other people is something that I thought I and still am committed to imitating. So the seed was planted way back, probably even before I was born. But I think we have roots in our church upbringing, and we're grateful to be able to nourish other lives and plant a similar seed, especially during these days and times.
I love that, Richard. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that's well said, and I love the fact that when we acknowledge the true orchestrator of our lives, though we have many plans, God is the one with the grand plan. So I'm so glad that He put you guys in the place that you guys are in now, and you guys are helping so many people. So I appreciate that, Robert. Next, I would like to see if we can you guys said it was 2013. I think Erika, you said is when you guys started. The name Alma Backyard Farms. Did you guys actually start like in a backyard, and what did the progression look like to bring you guys to today?
Yeah, so we did actually get our start in backyards, and we went into this with the idea of utilizing underutilized backyards in LA as a way to connect people to their food. And so our first backyard, which we still operate, is in East LA on Alma Avenue. So Alma Avenue off of Cesar Chavez. So we Alma meaning soul, as you said, we decided to take the name kind of as a grounding, but we also believe that our work not only satisfies the hunger of the stomach, but satisfies a deeper hunger, a hunger of the soul. And so really taking the name Alma has, I think, really, really captures the work that we do in its entirety.
That's amazing. I see, and I did not know that. This is why this information is good. It's on Alma Avenue in East LA, and it's still working to this day, correct?
Yeah.
See, that's tremendous. And you know what? So the next thing as well too is just to geotag you guys where you're at now. I mean, it's a beautiful background, and you guys are literally at the farm working every day. And so Compton, why Compton? And essentially, why were you guys guided in collaborating with St. Albert the Great community?
Just so you understand the philosophy behind why we choose where we choose to be. There's having worked at Dolores Mission and Homeboy Industries, and under the influence of solid guys like Father Mike Kennedy and Father Greg. There was oftentimes a reference to downward mobility, and where if you look historically of the interaction between humanity and God, and where God's made himself available through the person of Jesus, the mobility is downward. And so that being said, here are the specifications to why we choose to farm where we farm. The area ought to be a place that's food insecure, where there's lack of access to healthy and nutritious food, so that we could create opportunities for that access. The area has to be a place where there's a prevalent population of formerly incarcerated folks. LA County, and specifically areas like South LA and Compton, South LA County has disproportionately more formerly incarcerated folks or people on parole. So that's another specification of where we do our work. And it really so happened to be the case that we were looking to partner with space to actually do the farming. So initially, working in backyards had its logistical challenges. We were both new to all of this, so you need access to utilities, electrical, water, and you need space. Our method of growing is in ground, in raised beds, particularly. So those specifications led to us looking for partners. So one of our initial partners, when we first scaled up out of small backyards into a larger space, was with the Francisco Homes. They house, they're a housing program for formerly incarcerated folks who served a life sentence. And that was our first scaling up partnering. At that time, I had kept in touch with, he died this year, Phi Nguyen, rest in peace. He kept me in contact with who was then pastor here at St. Albert the Great, Compton, Rancho Dominguez, Father Long Nguyen, who I knew when I was at St. John's Seminary College. So the land behind me, and if some of you could see the background, it's green now, but at one point it was for the most part an abandoned soccer field. In terms of the partnership with St. Albert's, Father Long decided to take a chance and allow for us to develop the space with the hope that it could serve the children at the school, it could serve parishioners, and it could serve the wider community. So the space here at St. Albert's presented a match to all of those specifications: food insecurity, access to space, electrical, water, and access to community members, a lot of whom in this area are previously incarcerated or have been impacted by the justice system. So those are our specs. We've been blessed to be on this land and repurpose it. I think it goes, when we started, it goes along in line with our desire to enact and materialize part of the vision that Pope Francis put forth with our common home. And so in a way, we're living that and discovering new things along the way, challenges and successes.
Very beautiful. Yeah. And you know what? So the next thing that I will attempt to do is sort of bridge our two missions. And I know you guys have like a trifold, maybe they're pillars or they're just focuses on your end. And I know for us, we're trying to make sure that the most largest number of students that desire to have a Catholic education are able to. And so I know that's one of your focuses, that you guys have programming with the students there at St. Albert the Great. And I'd love to hear a little bit of maybe even a good touching, anecdote of some sort of how important you guys feel that partnership is between Alma Backyard Farms and having the kids in the space, learning what they're learning with the foods. And if you guys can tell me a little bit about the educational program that you have, I think that would be very helpful to our guests. Erika, do you think you can fill us in?
Yeah, so we facilitate farm education for school-age children. St. Albert the Great students, prior to the pandemic, would visit the farm once a week for a farm class, and during recess for farm snack. The farm is just a few feet away from their classrooms, and so it's a space that gets used pretty frequently. But a farm class, is an opportunity for kids to learn about nutrition, about gardening, and about compost. And really, kind of at the larger look at things, it's really to inspire children to become environmental stewards and caretakers of our common home. It's an opportunity for us to develop in kids at a young age not only a good palate, but also, an appetite for change, for children to learn what good food is from a young age, what it means to grow, carrots and to harvest carrots from the ground and then rinse them off and chop them up for a snack. And then, what happens to the carrot tops. So it's for the kids to know that, if you're not going to eat the carrot tops, they can go into the compost so that they can have another life to feed more. And so the youth program really focuses on these three pillars of nutrition and getting kids excited about food, and gardening and composting. And we start with preschool. So right now during the pandemic, St. Albert's does have their preschoolers on campus. There are 10 preschoolers that are coming to school, and so they're the lucky ones that get to participate in farm class once a week. And so we've been facilitating farm class for them for about a little over 2 months now. And so they've been learning about plant parts and about compost and all the different parts that I just shared. But they're so preschoolers get to come on campus, and then we're also developing some virtual lessons to share with families at large, not only for St. Albert's families, but, something that will be available online for families to enjoy together. So, usually, aside from the kids at St. Albert's, in the summertime, we're able to facilitate. So there you go. That's Mia with the hat. She's our one of our community educators, and she facilitates all of our children's lessons and she's reading the book, If You Give a Moose a Muffin. And so the kids are all sitting, socially distanced, spaced out, one raised bed per kid. And then they got to enjoy some banana muffins at the end of the class, and also started playing with the dirt, and really just getting kids to connect with the land. And so, yeah, that day was an exciting time for the kids, because they get to have this experience that none of the other kids are having.
Right. Oh my goodness. So this is a funny thing too. Is I'd love for you to set it straight for us. Can you tell us the significant differentiating component that sort of separates you, as in Alma Backyard Farms, from being a school garden? Just to educate our guests and our listeners, because I know I gravitated to calling it like it's this huge school garden. But yes, I know that it's not.
Well, garden is a term that we know and we understand. A farm is a concept, or we usually imagine, vast land and rows as we drive down, up the 5 freeway. It's when we talk about urban farms, one can look at gardening as a hobby. If you plant the seed and it grows, great. If it doesn't, it's okay. You'll just throw in another seed. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in our scale, the USDA actually classifies us as a farm because of the scale and scope of our work. So according to the USDA, once you produce and sell $1,000 worth of produce, you're a farm. And so it's just, it's this gray area where we can actually grow and sell what we have at the farms. And so the USDA needs to classify for certification and fees and accountability, which is all important, because as growers and as farmers, urban farmers, we have to comply with good agricultural practices. We have to make sure that what we're growing and distributing, no one's going to get sick consuming it, and we have to be held accountable for these practices. And so really, when it comes to, whether you're a garden or a farm, the USDA really wants to hone in on accountability and safety. And so in that sense, we are a farm. We're an urban farm. And even though it may have, the look and feel of a garden, we do, when we plant a seed, we intend for it to produce and to feed people. We grew a little over 10,000 pounds last year on slightly under 3/4 of an acre. And so we do really try to maximize our space so that we can produce volume.
That's incredible. I mean, that's a lot of produce. And I'm sure, it helps the school too, that they don't have to have the maintenance and taking care of it, through the off season. And I mean, you guys are there like 365, you guys are taking care of that land. You have, a bigger purpose at hand too, instead of it just being for programming. So, I'm going to take this time right now so that way we can share this lovely video that you guys put together. And I definitely want everyone to see, and that way you can get like you said, a full kind of spectrum on Alma Backyard Farms and what you guys do. So I'll go ahead and do that now for everybody. And everybody, it's about 5 minutes, but sit back and enjoy.
Los Angeles is a food insecure city. We are one of the cities known in the world for our food, and at the same time have the highest rates of insecurity. As a result of the Safer at Home guidelines in Los Angeles, we had to pivot our farm stand, and we started to think about how we could shift and what we could do. And instead of just shutting the farm down, we realized that a lot of the folks and families that we've been working with were already food insecure prior to the pandemic. And so the pandemic was only going to escalate a lot of these issues already faced in communities of color. we decided, let's just give the food away. And every 2 weeks, we give out 200 grocery kits to the community, and people have loved it. These kits are filled with fresh produce, they're filled with pantry staples, they're filled with prepared foods. Today, we've included cases of water and vegetable seedlings. We also include bread from local bakers. And so it's been an opportunity to really bring the community together to nourish people. Here at Alma, we have 3 core programs. Our job training program is for folks who are re-entering, leaving the incarceration system behind. So through the program, they get to learn carpentry, plumbing, landscaping, of course, urban agriculture. But really there's this whole like restorative and healing component that's interwoven into the skill building program. And so folks get an opportunity to really build the urban farms, to beautify the community, be a part of the growing process and feeding people while they're building and learning skills.
It's important for me to give back to my community because of how much I've taken. I've been incarcerated for 22 years, and being out 2 years now, I felt like I've always want to be of service, and I found this to be my calling as far as like having healthy food for the community, especially here in Compton. It's one of those things that, for me, if I could help our citizens here like to eat healthy, to make more healthy choices for themselves, for me, I'll do that anytime.
I believe that our participants have had a deep desire in terms of restoring their lives by giving back. That's a deep desire that I think Alma Backyard Farms helps to fulfill insofar as people re-entering are growing food, are distributing food, they're nourishing lives, they're doing something that they've deeply desired to do. And that in itself, I think, provides a sort of accomplishment that helps someone grow with confidence, grow with a sense of knowing that they belong, that they can return home with purpose. So that's what I've witnessed, and I've had the blessing to witness that really each and every day.
I get a lot of peace when I'm here. I'm also able to give back to my community. This is my neighborhood where I was raised at, and I planted a lot of bad seeds, so now it's time to plant some good seeds. I feel like it's very, very important to give back to your community just because it shows community network, us as a whole, working together and being able to contribute.
I find it more often that we're engaged in conversations that relate to life and life's challenges, and there's a lot of parallels that one can make between growing food and growing as a person. Take, for instance, transplanting a particular vegetable into the ground from a small pot to a larger space. There's a lot of care and nourishment that has to be paid attention to the plant, and that could be translated over to someone as they're re-entering, as they're moving from one place to another. There's a parallel of having to carefully nourish the person along the journey as you nourish the plant along its growth.
For me, the opportunity to be a part of Alma is one where I am continuously reminded that we have to do better. The struggles are real for our communities, and I feel the nudge to always continue to give more of myself so that others can continue to thrive. I really enjoy the opportunity to be able to put my hands in the soil and be a part of the growing process that feeds and nourishes people, and to be able to teach other folks that process. I think that it's sort of this deep breath that you take every day that fills you with life and joy and meaning. And I think that I wouldn't have it any other way, because I think that the work that I am a part of is a work that is very much needed.
Incredible. Thank you for allowing us to show this video. I think it really gave us a deep glimpse into why you guys do what you're doing. And so I would like to touch a little bit on this. I'm going to address this to Richard. This being, such a divisive time in our country right now, would you be able to tell us why you think Alma Backyard Farms job training that is, essentially built in restorative justice. Why is that so important in building community, especially right now?
Especially right now, I think the word that comes to mind is healing. I think so restorative justice in the classical sense is it's victim meeting with offender, and some sort of resolution is born out of that. I did some of that work when I was working with the Restorative Justice Initiative with Father Mike. And I've taken some of those principles into this work today. In light of what appears to be divisive times, I think reconciliation, and this is probably more like my Catholic bent on taking a look at restorative justice. I'll look at what will inform the notion of restorative justice is the sacrament of reconciliation. And there's a communal dimension to reconciliation where the whole community plays a role in this process of healing, and based on that, there ought to be, or there is encouraged, a moment where we could all listen to each other carefully. And so healing divides would take what some may call like a hermeneutics of compassion, but to listen to another person lovingly, despite the differences, and despite despite the opposing views, if there is opposing views. But I think my Catholic bent on restorative justice is yes, there's harm done, there is division, relationships are broken, but what precedes that reality is the reality of it's the reality that precedes original sin, if you will. It's the reality of original love, and that is what restores, because that preceded the brokenness. And so the restoration is having to walk back into that reality and to draw from it. So there's restorative justice here too, because you're reconnecting. And if anything's happening, there's something very Eucharistic about food. Jesus had a point. Because you could break bread together. We all need to eat. And so that's something that heals and allows for conversation to take place. But the whole liturgical experience of breaking bread and breaking word, I think that's part of the restoration. And that is what is infused in a lot of what we do. So like, we're reconnecting to the land, we're reconnecting to the earth, we're reconnecting to each other. And it so happens to be that food is the means to that greater goal.
Thank you for sharing, Richard. I really, what's sticking out for me is the intentionality that you guys have. I think for me personally, I feel like that plays a large part in your guys' viability and why you guys continually have success in expanding to the places you're expanding. I think you're doing things that not a lot of people have the courage to do, and that people just don't do it. And I think this is such a good home that you guys have made, it seems like, for some of the, your volunteers and some of the people that you guys work with. And it's very, very refreshing. And I love the spirit of love that you said. it precedes everything before. We need to come and make sure we're listening with intention to each other, and that we're hearing each other with a basis of love. I love that so much. Thank you so much, Robert and Erika, for everything you guys are doing. This is truly inspiring. So, I'm going to take this time. We have some of our guests here that are watching, and they chimed in with, I had one that says, you guys should be proud of what you guys are doing. And I can echo that for sure. And we have a question as well too, is what do you guys need as far as supporting your work? Is there a way to maybe volunteer? Is there a way for our guests to like give materials? Maybe even funding. I mean, that's a huge topic for us as well too. And I think a question is how do you guys get some of your funding? How do you guys approach that in terms of viability? Erika, do you mind sharing?
Yeah, thank you. So I'll add this piece, and then I'll segue into where we get our funding.
Yeah.
In March, when we were required with safer at home ordinances to really think about how we were going to continue programming, we pivoted our on-site farm stand to a grocery kit giveaway. And so prior to the pandemic, in Compton.
Yeah, well, I'm watching. I'm sorry. A webinar, but I can take off. No, I want.
1 second. I'm so sorry, Therese. Let's. I think we're good. Yeah, go ahead, Erika.
So we folks could come to the farm and purchase at affordable prices the organic fresh produce that we grow. And so when the safer at home ordinances went in place, this is where we shifted to saying folks are going to be hit hard in these communities. We need to figure out a way to show up. And so every 2 weeks, 250 grocery kits are assembled and distributed at our Compton farm site via curbside. These kits are filled with some of the produce that we grow, produce that we source from other local partners and farms, with locally baked bread that home bakers are baking for us, pantry staples. You saw in the video the process and what goes in these kits and how they get distributed. What we are gearing up for now is in 2021 to reopen our farm stand in Compton and to launch our farm stand in San Pedro. So our hope is to do this safely, to be able to provide access to more families and to provide access to the farms, to the space that in itself is so nourishing. So we're gearing up for that in the coming year. And so of course, as most nonprofits, we are looking for resources and financial resources at that to help us get to that point. So a lot of our funding to date has come from either individual donors or foundations. We do a lot of grant writing, a lot of relationship building, and to secure that we can continue to do the work that we do, and to do it in a way where we can create jobs and opportunities for folks who were formerly incarcerated, and to continue to do this during the pandemic. A lot of our needs, we get a lot of folks who reach out to us during this time with, I have time on my hands and how can I help? And it's an overwhelming amount of people who reach out to us saying that. And we're not taking, unfortunately we can't accommodate a lot of volunteers at this time on site because of wanting to keep our team safe, wanting to keep our team employed and engaged in these community efforts. And so we invite folks to think about ways that you can be helpful. And so if there are any skills that folks have, to reach out with that in mind, so that as a small organization that we can better respond to folks also, right? So that tends to be really helpful if people say, hey, I'm a really good writer. I can help read over your materials or provide feedback. I have this many hours a week. So with a concrete approach, But really, we just invite people. I just want to add that being a CEF alum myself, Catholic education really fuels this work and fuels me, and has been part of my my path. And what the Catholic Education Foundation is already doing to continue to nourish and feed the lives of children, especially in times like today where Catholicism is so needed, and the fact that we can be grounded in it and move forward with that in mind is pretty powerful. So we get to nourish the lives of young children through the farms and urban and agriculture as a means, and so that's our way to do it. But thank you guys for the support that CEF has given to me and to so many, so that we can continue to live lives for others. But I know you asked how folks can help, and I think I kind of covered that.
Hey, no worries. I mean, this is a unique. So sorry, excuse me. This is a unique time. I mean, it's a place and a time where we want to extend help in any way, but at the same time, we're fighting with the keeping everyone safe, like you said, and employed. And so it's very important that we kind of walk the tightrope of figuring out how to do that and how to best do that. And the fact that you guys are there every day throughout, I think is what you said, right? You're throughout the entire social distancing, you guys are still there. I mean, there's crops to be tended, and there's people that need food. So I mean, it's very honorable and admirable that you guys are doing what you're doing. And so you said a Catholic education and Catholic schools is funny, and this may add to the plate. I have no idea, but I will just send it out there as well. We have, I think it's an administrator at a Catholic school too. He chimed in the chats and said, I'd be interested in touching base to learn more about a possible partnership or advice on our school property. We're blessed with a great amount of land and would love to think forward to creating a school/parish farm that gives food to those people who are in need. And so this came from an individual at Holy Redeemer St. James School. And so I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's up in the Crescenta Highlands. So it's up north, and it seems like they got a bunch of land. And I don't know, it's just one of those things where we're trying to create community and connections through this platform as best as we can. And the fact that, you guys are educating us on so much beautiful things you're doing for our Catholic school communities, and somebody already wants to see how they can also bless their communities as well too. So I will send you that information, and I'll send it over so you guys can continue chatting on that as well too. But I wish there was a way that I can get down there and get myself with my hands dirty. But as far as this is going to be funny, this is my scratching my own itch. What do you guys have in your bags? What do you guys give as far as those aid things? Those 250, I'm sure they go quick, but what do you receive in there?
Yeah, so the contents of the bag vary week to week, but for the most part, folks get a ready-made soup that is not canned. It's a fresh soup made by one of our partners, Bracken's Kitchen, down in Orange County. So every bag includes a soup, includes rice and beans, oats, and usually some type of nuts, almonds, walnuts. We also include one of our chef partners will make another prepared item, either a salad or a fruit preserve or a sauce that folks can use to prepare their meals. We also include the fresh produce, which can vary from what's in season. So right now, still like a lot of squash and zucchini, eggplants, cucumbers, tomatoes. And then we always make sure to include greens, whether it's kale or collards, chard, spinach. So there's always some greens in there. Sometimes we get to include herbs from the farm as well, whether it's like mint, oregano, lavender, whatever's growing in abundance. We always have a featured item in addition to the bag. So like the last giveaway, we had pumpkins. So every family got a pumpkin. This coming Sunday, we've partnered with Press Juicery. They're a juice company throughout the U.S. And so they'll be providing 2 juices that actually have our name and mission on them for a portion of November, which is super exciting. So if any of you are familiar with Press Juicery, there's from November 10th through the 16th, they are celebrating their 10-year anniversary and extending their support to Alma by 20 cents per bottle will go to support our food distribution efforts. So check them out, and we'll have information on our Instagram and website when that goes live. But so this coming Sunday, every family will get a couple juices along with their bag. Sometimes we get to include seeds or seedlings to get people growing. And we really, we decide on the contents of the bag. You know, we say we're not a food bank because really we're nothing wrong with food banks, very much needed. But what we're providing is a lot of fresh ingredients, a lot of fresh produce, because that's an area that's lacking, especially in our community. And so we fill the bag with partners to also support small businesses in Compton. And so some of the product that goes in the bags we purchase from small businesses in the neighborhood to really provide some relief to them as well, and to inform the community of some of the resources that are in the community. So every bag is different, and every bag includes a loaf of sourdough that is locally baked. So there's a group called Cast Your Bread Los Angeles, and they gather folks to bake, most of whom have started baking because of the pandemic. And it's not limited to sourdough loaves. A lot of people also throw in banana bread or other goodies. But the idea is to really bring people together in sort of this Eucharistic element where people are baking for someone else. And it's a way to connect, especially during the pandemic. And so that's another, if you're a baker, you can go on to Cast Your Bread LA's website and sign up for one of their bakes. It's a great way to help during this time and to volunteer for a cause that is really feeding people throughout Los Angeles. But so our bags tend to weigh anywhere between like 17 and 20 pounds. And so it's a solid bag that we believe will really help to build immunity and nourish people, and bring families together during this time.
Wow. I can't, it's a funny phrase, but I just can't take it. You guys have so much meaning. There's so many parallels behind what you guys do. And I know Richard mentioned it as well too. And I think it provides just such a, not a story, but it's very compelling. And it's given me inspiration today to continue forward with intentionality, with meaning and purpose behind what we're doing. Even the way you fill your bags, like that is, it's easy to grab some cans and throw some stuff, but this is the body that you're trying to nourish. And there is that Eucharistic, parallel in it as well. And you guys really know how to hone in on what's important in life. And I just love that you guys were able to join us today. I'm going to put Mary Anderson on the spot. I hope you're ready. She had a question as well too. And she, instead of me asking, I'm just going to ask her to unmute it and ask her herself.
Good morning. I am unmuted, and I am so touched by what you do. I am a, 12, 14-year Catholic school attendee myself, and I've been working at St. Paul. This is my 40th year working here. I'm a graduate of this school, so I love Catholic education. Fortunately, my parents were middle income, and we weren't part of CEF, but since I've done marketing and admissions, I'm so proud to work with CEF. And now I'm back working with CEF, working with our principal. And we at St. Paul are very, very adamant on working with social justice. And restorative justice has not been something that we've delved into, but it's a great idea. And we're very strong in social justice. We do a lot with the LA Catholic Worker. We do a fundraiser every year, which we raise about, well, this year not, but $20,000, which goes to the LA Catholic Worker. The kids walk 26 miles. We drop them off at Salazar Park in East LA. They walk all the way to Santa Monica. They raise $60 to $70 a kid, and it's an all-day thing. It's awesome. But now I'm just so impressed with everything you do. And I was just pulling my iPad for Cast Your Bread, looking for ways of kids to give back. And I'm thinking we could do a monetary donation. But more than that, Erika and Ricky, are you available to speak to our religion classes? I would love to be able to get to Mike Alvarez, our department chair, and be able to offer this to them as an opportunity for our kids to see firsthand. I mean, the video is awesome, but in speaking to you and your passion, I think it's just so touching.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mary. And thank you for your work in inspiring children to live lives of social justice. It's so important. Yeah, we can definitely, I'm sure that Johnny or someone can share our information, or if you just go on our website, almabackyardfarms.com, you can reach out to us and we can set something up. Absolutely.
I love that. Look at that connection. That's great. Thanks, Mary. Oh, Mary, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Definitely. So yeah, oh my goodness, it's been very, very amazing. And we have, questions that are coming in. And so we'll send everybody your information so they can reach out to you guys personally as well too. And is there any last things that you guys would love to just leave us with, and anything that we maybe didn't cover, Richard or Erika?
I was going to add to Mary's, you're always welcome here too. So if we could figure out a way for you to visit too, that'd be great. And yeah, we're more than happy to partake in sharing with the youth.
Awesome. Thank you.
Erika, I think you said, or maybe you didn't, maybe something I gathered from your website. You guys have cars that line up as early as 6, or when is that programming? If any of us do want to go out there and maybe grab a bag and give to their family members or need it themselves, how do we do that?
Yeah, so every 2 weeks, so this coming Sunday, we distribute 250 grocery kits on a first come first basis. We don't ask for any information, you just got to show up. And we start distributing at 8 a.m., but by 6 a.m., folks start lining up. And so usually if you show up at 8:30, you're not going to get a bag. And so it just shows how great the need is. And well, oftentimes we say, like, we don't even know how all these people found out about the work that we're doing. It all started with an Instagram post. And I think that the word has spread. People love the product and the contents and the dignity that comes with the bag. Our team is so excited to distribute and give people this dose of happiness and hope every 2 weeks, and people receive it so joyfully. So if folks want to either spread the word or come by themselves for a bag, all information is on our website and Instagram. But showing up usually around 7 will be a good time to line up, and you don't have to get out of your car. We have a whole setup. We have traffic control down. We bring it all to you. You just got to line up, and it's great.
Wow, you guys are so creative. I love this. So I wanted to just finish up by saying thank you so much, so much, Erika and Richard. You have to let me know also when I'm able to kind of go to the farm in person as well too. And I know you said we can go on those days, but I mean I had a blast, and I can't wait to go visit again. And what a truly remarkable vocation that you guys are in, and you guys are doing so many great things for our community and for your local community as well too. So thanks, Richard. Thanks, Erika. What I would like to do as well too is take this time to just say thank you also to our Catholic schools, St. Albert the Great and Holy St. James Holy Redeemer, and everyone else who's out there who's really working for our kids and for our families to make sure that they have the Catholic education that they deserve. And so we'd like to extend a big thank you to all the Catholic schools across the Archdiocese for your dedicated work, especially during this time. Our principals and pastors are working hard to reach out to families and make sure that Catholic schools are available to everyone who wants to enroll. It is always the goal that no one is turned away for lack of funds, though it is increasingly difficult to offer the amount of financial aid that is needed. So if you can give right now, please visit our website, cefdn.org. Do remember that 100% of your donation goes directly to the tuition awards. Also, if you would like to learn a little bit more about Alma Backyard Farms, we threw it in the chat, but also here it is as well too. Write it down. almabackyardfarms.com is where you can reach out to Richard and Erika personally, and just to get a hello, maybe. Reach out to them, and if you need any information, you can get it there as well. And Erika, you said the 10th through the 16th, some pressed juice. So if you guys can go out there, look for their logos, and let's all support Alma Backyard Farms and do our little part, even if we can't get there and volunteer. So I truly enjoyed every second of today's session, and I would just love to give just one last big thank you to Erika and Richard, and you guys have just touched my heart, and I know I can probably speak for everyone else. You've touched everyone else this morning as well too. So thank you so much for that. And before we close out, I just want to let everyone know that Coffee with CEF will be taking next week off for Veterans Day, but we will be back the following Wednesday, November 18th. So mark your calendars, 10 a.m. We'll be here and we'll do some more of these amazing testimonies and story sharing. So I really appreciate it. And you know what, Erika and Richard, I know you guys got tons of stuff to do, so I will let you guys go. And thank you everyone for joining. I really, really appreciate it. Hey, look at Richard's dog there too. Awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a blessed week.
Absolutely. Thank you, Richard. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. We really, really appreciate it. We'll get that information to you, Mary. Absolutely. Thank you, everyone.